WWE continued its road to Elimination Chamber on March 1st last night on Raw with the latest qualifying matches for the men's and women's chamber matches. Rey Mysterio and Logan Paul squared off in the men's, while women's Intercontinental Champion Lyra Valkyria battled Bayley in the other. CM Punk and AJ Styles appeared, and Damage Control sought revenge against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, 1 week after Io Sky seemingly saw her WrestleMania hopes dashed, courtesy of the conniving Morgan. Who cashed their tickets to Toronto? Did Morgan get the best of Sky for the second week in a row? And what did Styles and Punk have to say as they jockey for position, entering the most important time on the WWE calendar? Find out now with this recap of Monday Night Raw, for this is Ridiculously Raw. Hey there, welcome everybody to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and streaming.com today. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We are maybe awaiting the presence of the Phenom Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll hopefully have him back with us Thursday night for the return of our regulation episodes of TXN Sports World. Monday Night Raw live last night from the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee, the home of the NHL's Nashville Predators. We have Monday Night Raw to get into, of course, and then from there, NXT with a still marking after what we saw at the tail end of that show here tonight. But first off, let's get into Monday Night Raw. As I mentioned, from the aforementioned Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee, and we started it off. Of course, there's only one way you can start a show nowadays, and that is with the winner of the men's Royal Rumble match, main event, Jey Uso. Jey Uso made another electrifying entrance to a thunderous ovation from the fans at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. World Heavyweight Champion Gunther then came out from out of nowhere, sweeping Jey Uso's legs out from underneath him and sending him crashing back first into the announce table. A brawl ensued, with the Reign General getting the best of Jey Uso. Undeterred, Jey Uso grabbed the mic and made it official, challenging Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 41. Gunther returned to the ring, but Jey Uso met him there. He dove over the top rope and wiped him out and security out before standing tall with his path to the Showcase of the Immortals clear. This was a red-hot way to start the show with the momentous announcement of Uso versus Gunther for WrestleMania, the first match to be made official for the biggest show of the year. It will have considerable time to tell its story and ensure Jey Uso versus Gunther is as anticipated as any other on the show. That bodes well for the world title match, which often takes a back seat to the undisputed WWE Championship. And because of this, that now officially means the winner of the men's Elimination Chamber match at Elimination Chamber will earn the right to challenge Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship at WrestleMania. The Gunther attack was perfectly executed. The timing was fantastic, and Michael Cole's panicked call made it even better. Gunther warned Jey Uso, "Don't do it, Jey." And then Uso said it, "You and me, WrestleMania." Officially announcing the first match for the granddaddy of them all. I can make an argument that this might have been the segment of the night right here. So, what a way to start it off indeed. So, not much more to say. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, come on in. What a way to start it off last night on Raw. Our first official match for WrestleMania 41. Gunther will now defend the World Heavyweight Championship against main event Jey Uso at WrestleMania. And on top of that, because of this, Cody Rhodes will now defend his WWE Championship against whoever wins the Elimination Chamber. Okay.
Yes, indeed. It's some big announcements, no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, this is how it's going to go. And, were we shocked that that was going to be the announcement? No, not really. I think we all kind of felt like that was going to be the decision that was going to be made. Now the question is what are we going to get on the smack? Now that we got that, what's it going to look like beyond that? It's going to be very interesting to watch. I think it's going to be a very interesting situation. And yeah, we're going to have to see how it plays out. But the one thing is for sure, it's going to be a very interesting matchup. And it's going to be a hell of a fight, no doubt about it. I kind of feel like right now we got a lot of things to work with. And yeah, congratulations, Jey Uso. You made your choice, and I can't wait to see what it's going to be now. So nothing more to say. Florio, it's yours.
All right, MF, we go to our first match of the night. Women's tag team action. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez squaring off against Io Sky and Dakota Kai of Damage Control. Damage Control. Io Sky and Dakota Kai win the match 14 minutes and 55 seconds. And then later in the show, Rhea Ripley went up to Io Sky and said, you and me for the Women's World Championship on Monday Night Raw, the night at the Raw after Elimination Chamber. That will be Monday night, March 3rd, from the Keystone Arena in Buffalo. Ho, ho, ho. MF, let's go Buffalo. How about that? Rhea Ripley, Io Sky for the Women's World Championship, March 3rd, Monday Night Raw after the Chamber. But more importantly, Io and Dakota knocking off Liv and Raquel. 14:55 unofficial championship committee moment here.
In a way, yes, but it also now cements that, she finally gets Io gets her shot at a measure of revenge. A lot of people felt like, she feels like if it wasn't for Rhea, that maybe Io would have won the match and gone into the chamber. Now she gets a golden opportunity at a shot at the title. And yeah, if for some reason they win the match, maybe we might be looking at the next challengers for the women's tag team titles. But that's bearing if in case that, that Raquel and Liv actually does win the titles. We don't know for sure. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to watch. It's a 3-star bout, and Anthony, it's yours.
Respectful disagreement here. I think you underscored this a little bit. 3.5 to 3.75 of a star for me. This was a good long tag team match that broke down a bit at points late, but still highlighted two quality tandems. Liv Morgan's growth as a worker is undeniable, but this was as much about highlighting Io Sky as she embarks on yet another champion on another big championship match. Arguably the best wrestler in the women's division, Io Sky has momentum on her side, and there was that part of me that was hoping to see that these two would battle on the grand stage of WrestleMania. I think it's a bit of a creative misstep, but hey, Elimination Chamber, that's fine. Before the match, a still frustrated Sky confronted Ripley, reminded her that she cost her a shot at WrestleMania, and warned that she was coming for mommy. Sky obliterated Morgan with a knee strike to the side of the head, busting her open. And things broke down slightly in the closing moments with a mistimed spot or two. But this was still a strong offering out of the women's tag team division. 3.5 to 3.75 of a star. And let's keep the ladies' action going here. The women's Elimination Chamber qualifying match. It was Bayley squaring off against the women's Intercontinental Champion Lyra Valkyria. And the winner of the match, 12 minutes and 15 seconds, and qualifying for the women's Elimination Chamber match, Bayley. Bayley gets it done. Another good match here. 3.25 stars, teetering on 3.5. This was a good match with the potential to be great, but it just missed that level. Still, both women had strong outings, which reaffirmed how great Bayley is and highlighted Lyra Valkyria as one of the women who led the division into the next generation. Bayley going over was the right call, but the creative team desperately needs to do something to boost this Intercontinental title reign for Lyra Valkyria because it has been lacking to this point through no fault of her own. Roxanne Perez sat ringside for the match, further spotlighting her ongoing rivalry with Bayley. And that was the only real highlight to address out of that. So, like I said, a solid 3 1/4, teetering on 3.5. Another good match here. And, you know, we've talked about it. We talked about it at length on our programs last week. Stacking the star power for both chamber matches. We'll get to the men's in a little bit, but look who we have on the women's side now. We got Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and now we're going to add Bayley to this. And then Friday night on SmackDown, it will either be Naomi or the Women's United States Champion, Chelsea Green. And then next week, it will either be Raquel Rodriguez or the prodigy, Roxanne Perez. Oh, man. So I'm loving this field. I really am. So 3 1/4, teetering on 3.5 for me. So MF, outcome somewhat not in doubt. I mean, considering the positioning on the card here, you knew Bayley was going to get the win here, but they made Lyra look good, and now Liv, Bianca, Alexa, now Bayley. Whew. What a field.
Yeah, no, it's a strong field now. So no, I says I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, this was very interesting to say. I really enjoyed it. I thought they did a really good job. Yeah, this is another 3.25 star match. I think it could have been a little better in certain areas, but I thought they did a fine job with it. So yeah, I really got nothing more to add. So Anthony, let's just move on.
All right, we move on to I believe we had a promo segment here. Yep. The return of the phenomenal AJ Styles. AJ Styles hit the ring and cut a promo, addressing the fans in Nashville and recalling the potentially career-ending injury he suffered 4 months ago on SmackDown in that very same building in Nashville against Carmelo Hayes. But then he was interrupted by the Judgment Day, Dominic Mysterio, and Carlito. And after reminding Dominic that he is still just Rey Mysterio's punk-ass kid, Styles cleared both he and Carlito out of the ring and set a motion in a feud between the two competitors that should carry them through the next few weeks. And next Monday night on Raw, next Monday night on Raw, AJ Styles versus Dominic Mysterio. It's great to see AJ back, but at the same time, Judgment Day, that's the best you can do for AJ Styles? I even said that to Bullock during our Raw chat last night, and we were like, this is the best they can do for AJ's return? Okay. So I don't know what else there is for me to say on this. So the only thing I can say is it worked. Styles told the story of a grizzled veteran with plenty left to offer professional wrestling. Dominic talked a big game, but caught a beatdown, which he is not likely to let go unanswered. For now, though, Styles has a chance to work with and further evolve Dominic Mysterio as a worker while combating one of the most over heels on the roster and thus enjoying the overwhelming crowd support sure to come along with it. Styles told the fans, "I've got a long to-do list," while assuring them he's not going anywhere yet. The heat was nuclear for Dominic, proving once again that he is as perpetually over as any other superstar on the roster. And Styles told Dominic, "I know what you're capable of. I've got the battle scars." referencing previous battles with the Judgment Day, including one in Hershey, Pennsylvania in December of 2022 that left him with a torn Achilles tendon. And then after the match, Jackie Redmond interviewed Seth Rollins, who was interrupted by Finn Balor. Verbal exchange included hype for their Elimination Chamber qualifying match and a warning from Rollins that Balor will not be standing at all after next week's match. So Seth Rollins and Finn Balor one more time. And this time it's for the right to qualify for the Elimination Chamber. So that's really all we can say on that. So let's move on now. World Tag Team titles on the line. The champions, the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar, defending against the Creed brothers. And the winners of the match, 12 minutes and 25 seconds via disqualification. It was the War Raiders, because one of the Creeds used the title belt to lay out a War Raider. Referee caught it and called for the bell, signaling for the disqualification. So I think it's clear as day. This feud must continue, and I don't know what else there is to say on this. So MF, Creed brothers defeating the War Raiders via or I should say the War Raiders winning by disqualification. 12 minutes, 25 seconds. They retain the World Tag Team Championships, but it looks to me like this feud is far from over. And a rematch in this feud must continue. We just don't know where this match is going to take place at this time.
Yeah, pretty much. I would probably say about 3.5 stars, but but it was a solid match, no doubt about it. There's really nothing more to say. So yeah, it was still solid for what it's worth. And yeah, there's really nothing more to add. So Flory, what's yours?
Yeah. All right, hold on one second here. Okay, I just want to make sure everything's okay here. All right. Overall, it was a 3.5 star match, but I'm bumping it down to 3.25 because of the DQ finish. Solid match that had fans buying into the near falls late. The finish may not have been ideal for fans who wanted to see how it would play out, but it keeps the story moving and adds heat to it. Good action, great physicality, and an ending that protects everyone made this one a worthwhile bout. So, Ivar delivered an underhook powerbomb that would have made Ahmed Johnson and his Pearl River Plunge proud. So, and then after this was when we got the announcement that Rhea Ripley would defend the Women's World Championship against Io Sky on Raw after the Elimination Chamber on Monday night, March the 3rd from Buffalo. So, not much more to say here. Now we move on to yet another promo segment. This time it was CM Punk. CM Punk comes out with his ticket to Elimination Chamber already cashed. CM Punk took to the ring in Nashville to address the WWE Universe. He reiterated his vow to stab Cody Rhodes in the front, then aimed at longtime rival John Cena, vowing to beat him inside Elimination Chamber in Toronto. Logan Paul, the man who eliminated Punk from the Royal Rumble, interrupted amid a chorus of boos. A brief back and forth between the two led to Punk promising to put Logan Paul to sleep if he somehow managed to get past Rey Mysterio. And then that would bring out Rey Mysterio for the men's Elimination Chamber qualifying match. Logan Paul versus Rey Mysterio. And the winner of the match in 17 minutes and 10 seconds and qualifying for the men's Elimination Chamber match, Logan Paul. Logan Paul wins the match. I got to call it fight of the night here. I got to give this about 4 to 4.25 stars. The match featured perfectly acceptable pro wrestling that highlighted Logan Paul's continued growth as an in-ring wrestler and served as a reminder of Rey Mysterio as one of the most giving pro wrestlers of his era. Some will hate the idea of Logan Paul competing inside Elimination Chamber with the main event talent he will share the ring with, but it at least sets up the possibility of Punk shutting him up with a crowd-pleasing go to sleep. CM Punk said to Logan Paul, the way they're booing you, you think you're Dominic Mysterio or something. And then that was really... And Pat McAfee asked on commentary, did we know Logan Paul had this kind of strength? Putting over the power advantage the heel demonstrated throughout the bout. And then that's pretty much all there is to say here. So for me, I got to say this was the fight of the night here. I'm going to give this an excess of 4 to 4.25 stars. I kind of had a feeling Logan Paul was going to win this thing. And yep, he absolutely did. So he's now inside the Elimination Chamber. And to set some things up, to set up some house cleaning here. It doesn't really say what the matches were, but I do know a couple of things. We will have the final men's chamber qualifier. It'll be Seth freaking Rollins against Finn Balor, and that women's elimination chamber qualifier with Roxanne Perez against Raquel Rodriguez, and those two things will go down in Charlotte. That's where Charlotte will host the show next week. And then the other men's chamber qualifying match, Friday night on SmackDown, triple threat match. Damian Priest versus Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu. Oi, oi, oh. I don't know what else there is to say on that. So we'll address that on Friday. But for right now, for me, this was the fight of the night, 4 to 4.25. And now, MF, let's look at the men's chamber qualifiers. Cena, Punk, McIntyre, Logan Paul now added to the mix. And then we'll see who comes out of Friday with Priest, Strowman, and Fatu. And, of course, Rollins and Balor, which you know is going to be a banger because they always have bangers whenever they get together. So the fight of the night for me, 4 to 4.25. MF, your thoughts on the main event? Logan Paul punching his ticket to the Elimination Chamber.
And once again, Logan Paul proves that he is worthy of the moment and that actually he is, look, for all the negativity, for all the BS, for all the garbage that this guy has to do, he's a damn fine wrestler. He proves it in the ring every time out. You may not like his antics. You may not like his attitude. You may think, whatever of Logan Paul. But the guy, whenever he needs to be in the ring and whenever he needs to step up, he actually steps up and shows out. Look, remember that move that he did where he had Rey Mysterio, perched up second rope or top rope and does that flying, that flying splash? That was a very impressive move. You don't get to see that very often. And he also opened my eyes again. He just knows what to do and does it in such a way. So, give it up for Logan Paul. When he first started, people trashed him, said whatever he wants to say. This guy is the real deal. And every time he performs, he does an amazing job. So for all the haters out there, you can say whatever you want to say, but Logan Paul's been putting the work in the ring each and every time out and making you eat those words. So, yeah, 4.25 fight of the night. Floor, it's yours.
Over MF, you lead off on our overall thoughts. Overall, how do we feel about last night's Raw in Nashville?
I think it was a fine show. I think it was a, solid build towards Chamber. They put a lot of good things out of it. I enjoyed it. So I'll give this about, 7.5 to 8 out of 10. So Anthony, it's yours.
Right there with you. 7.5 to 8 out of 10 for me as well. This was not quite the blowaway show that some Netflix broadcasts have been, thanks in large part to some questionable booking decisions. But it continued to set the stage for a high-stakes Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. We got the first official WrestleMania match announcement in the form of Jey Uso challenging Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. a great women's tag team match, Bayley outlasting Lyra Valkyria, and the first chapter in a rivalry between the War Raiders and the Creed brothers. Still, there are almost too many moving pieces without any clear indication that their stories will pay off with a spot on the WrestleMania 41 card. Last year at this time, the card for the year's biggest show was coming into focus. If I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think the same can be said this year. Though there is still plenty of time to change that. So I'm with you, MF. 7.5 to 8 out of 10 for me. So with all that being said, we're now going to turn our attention now to NXT. Of course, NXT with a big show of their own coming up this Saturday night called Vengeance Day that will air on Peacock at 6 o'clock. And we'll be previewing that card on Friday night on the Cerebral Smack Talk. The Royal Rumble is in the books, and a few NXT stars made big impressions. But now it's back to business as usual as the Black and Gold brand prepares for Vengeance Day on Saturday night. Tonight's show featured Bayley making another appearance in her old stomping grounds as she took on Cora Jade. We also saw Lexis King defend the NXT Heritage Cup against TNA's JDC. And Tony D'Angelo put the North American Championship on the line against Ridge Holland inside the confines of a 15-foot-high steel temper cage. Let's take a look at everything that happened on tonight's edition of NXT, shall we? And we started it off with the matchup with Bayley squaring off against Cora Jade. And the winner of the match in 10 minutes and 40 seconds, Cora Jade. But she didn't do it alone. In one of the best mind game moments we've seen in some time, Roxanne Perez came out to distract Bayley, but Roxanne Perez was dressed as the original Bayley, the huggable Bayley. I'm surprised she didn't bring the wacky waving arm flailing inflatable tube men with her. That would have put it over the top, honestly. But nonetheless, Cora Jade defeating Bayley 10 minutes and 40 seconds. And after the match was over, General Manager Ava shows up. And Ava, we basically, in a way, we kind of had a championship committee moment here. Because let's not forget, Bayley will be challenging for the NXT Women's Championship this Saturday at Vengeance Day, along with Roxanne Perez against Julia. But Ava adds another element to this match. This match has just gone from a triple threat to a fatal four-way match. Cora Jade has now been added to this match. Well, okay. 3.25 to 3.5 stars. This felt like a personal fight from the moment they made contact. It was less about proving who was the better wrestler and more about making sure they hurt each other. Neither competitor had a long time in the driver's seat, so this felt like a very competitive bout. Bayley had a significant experience advantage, but Cora Jade is no longer a rookie who is afraid of her mentors, so it felt like an even matchup. Jade had a slight speed advantage, but Bayley had her beat in the power department. The role model hit all of her usual moves, but she was distracted by Roxanne Perez, who came out to Bayley's old music and dressed in her old gear. And Bayley attacked Roxanne, but then Cora seized the opportunity, dropped Bayley with a DDT outside the ring and inside the ring to score the pin and the win. Not only was this a strong performance for both women, but the ending was surprisingly good. This was a big win for Cora Jade, and it became even bigger when General Manager Ava announced Cora Jade would be added to the women's title match at Vengeance Day. The crowd was being very vocal while booing Jade. Roxanne Perez was so funny during her impression of Bayley. You could tell she was actually a fan and knew that era of Bayley's career well. And the look on Roxanne's face when Cora won was perfect. So 3.25, 3.5 stars you can make an argument that this might be the biggest win of Cora Jade's career when you beat someone the caliber of a Bayley by hook or by crook. And now she has a chance for an even bigger win on Saturday night. And now it'll be Julia versus Roxanne Perez versus Bayley, now versus Cora Jade. Fatal 4-way for the NXT Women's Championship on Saturday night. 3.25, teetering on 3.5 for me. Not much more to say. MF, how about it? Cora Jade defeating Bayley in 10:40 with a little help from Roxy, dressed as the old school Bayley, the huggable Bayley. Awesomeness. And now Cora gets the opportunity of a lifetime. Thanks to Ava, Cora Jade will now face Julia, Roxanne Perez, and Bayley. We now have ourselves a fatal 4-way for that NXT Women's Championship. Wow. So MF, come on in. Give us your thoughts on all this as Cora Jade winning it in 10:40. Man, what a way to start off this Go Home to Vengeance Day edition of NXT here tonight. My goodness. Wow. Oh, okay. MF had to step away for a moment, so we'll await for him to return here. So yeah. Just let me know when you're back in, MF, and then we'll go from there. So excellent jump off here. I was initially going to give it 3.5 stars, but I'm bumping it down to 3.25 because of the distraction. Even though, I mean, Roxanne pulled the look off perfectly. She absolutely nailed it. I mean, like I said, the only thing that would have put this over the top was if she had the wacky waving, arm flailing, inflatable tube men out there with her. Oh man, that really would have done it. But nonetheless, what a moment here as Cora Jade defeats Bayley in 10 minutes and 40 seconds. And now Cora Jade, well, MF has left us for a moment. Hopefully we'll get him back in here. So, yeah, big win for Cora as, okay, MF's back. All right, we got MF back in. All right.
Sorry about that. I was gonna try to get back into it, and then I hit the wrong button, and it kicked me right out of the studio. 3.5 stars is my rating for the match. I really thought it was a solid opener. Yeah, highlight of the night. Roxanne Perez coming out in the original Bayley getup, the NXT Bayley. You remember the hugger and everything else. They brought the music back. She looked the part. And you could tell she looked like she was having a lot of fun in that moment. The crowd popped for it. Yes, I know it's supposed to be a dig, a slight at it. I kind of feel like the fans didn't really have a big problem with it at all. So it was a solid moment for her. For Cora Jade, though, yes, absolutely. Big win for her, big moment for her. And now, not only does she get rewarded with the victory, then Ava turned around and is like, you know what? You're now added to the fight. Congratulations. Now, instead of it being triple threat, now it's fatal 4-way. That just adds another element to this matchup. And if you're Julia, you're probably not happy seeing that now there's another player at the table, because that increases the odds of you losing the title. Because normally in a triple threat, you're fair. It's only a 33% chance. Now those numbers gets even amplified even more, because now, you don't have to be involved in a decision. So your odds of winning went from 33 to 25. So it's even worse. So if you're Julia, you're probably not happy right now with Ava, seeing that another person just got added. Even though I think Julia's going to win it, but there is now a threat where she could lose the title and it could go to Cora. Roxanne, I doubt that she's going to win it because I think she's going on the main roster. I don't see Bayley winning it. But now that Cora's in there, there's a real legit threat that Cora could steal the title. She could steal it without Julia even getting involved in the decision. So that's my feeling about it. So nothing more to say, Florio. It's yours.
Yeah, we move on now to a triple threat. Well, actually, before that, we had an in-ring segment. The NXT champion Oba Femi cutting a promo by A-Town Down Under. Oba Femi came out and interrupted by Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, but ended up turning into an argument between the tag partners. Waller and Theory ended up attacking Femi by pretending they were going to fight. Both men hit the NXT champion with their respective finishers to end the segment. So not really much to get into on that. We'll just bypass that and we'll get into our next match. Triple threat tag team matchup. And in this matchup, it was Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura versus Hank Walker and Tank Ledger versus the No Quarter Catch Crew's Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights with Charlie Dempsey and Ren Sinclair in their corner. Winners of the match, 12 minutes and 9 seconds. Yoshiki Inamura and Josh Briggs win the match. But you notice in that little pedestal in the CWC, you notice there were the NXT Tag Team Champions, Nathan Frazier and Axiom. And Fraxium were so impressed by Briggs and Inamura's performance and win tonight that Saturday night at Vengeance Day, Fraxium will defend the NXT Tag Team Championships against Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. Oh, MF, what do you got to say about this?
Solid matchup. This was at least a 3 to 3.5 star bout. As far as it going with the tag team titles, I don't look. We've been saying it a number of times. We've always seen teams that we think that could be a threat for the titles, and then they don't end up winning the belts. I don't know. I kind of feel like too rushed, too soon, too new of a tag team. I don't see them upending Fraxium right now. I would be stunned if they're the ones to do it, but something tells me they're not going to do it. So, Gloria, it's yours.
Hey, solid 3.5 stars. Now this was not officially a contenders match for a title shot, but the announcers made it clear that General Manager Ava and the tag champions would be watching. This was a fast-paced match right out of the gate. All three teams did a great job looking like this match mattered to them, especially since most of these guys are still waiting for their first championship. Hank and Tank were a two-man wrecking crew for a little while before the break. This match had moments when it was hard to remember who was legal because so much was going on, but the announcers did a good job keeping it straight. So, yeah, big moment here. And I'll tell you what, Briggs and Inamura have quickly grown into an entertaining pair. And Tavion Heights has so much potential. He has some good explosive offense, but he definitely needs some work in other areas like striking. But solid 3.5 stars. Great matchup here. All right, next up, we had the matchup for the NXT Heritage Cup. As it was the NXT Heritage Cup champion, Lexis King, defending against TNA's JDC, Johnny Dango Curtis, representing the system, of course. Winner of the match in 9 minutes and 37 seconds, and still the NXT Heritage Cup champion. It is Lexis King. Solid 3 stars for this. Fandango, who now represents TNA as JDC, he challenged Lexis King for the Heritage Cup, which was now being contested under the new rules Lexis King put in place. This was now just like any other one fall match. which Booker T favored. This match had a steady pace and saw both men control the pace at different times. King had the upper hand a bit more often, but JDC was giving him a good fight. Lexis retained the Heritage Cup in a decent, but ultimately uneventful match. It was strange how WWE acknowledged him as Fandango last week, but chose to go by his JDC name this week, which makes more sense due to his status in TNA. And Vic Joseph was talking a lot about JDC possibly being the first TNA star to hold a WWE NXT title. And this partnership could see a few titles bounce from show to show. I kind of want to see it myself, if I'm going to be honest with you. I would love to see at least one happen. It could have been here, but not quite. So solid 3 for me. So MF, Lexis King successfully defends the Heritage Cup over JDC 937.
Solid match. I want to say about 3 stars. I'll give you that. I think it would have to be a bigger name in order for a TNA guy to get one of these WWE or NXT titles. Even though Johnny Dango Curtis would have been a perfect guy to take, I kind of feel like right now WWE would want to get somebody that they can trust, that they would be like, okay, this guy would be good enough. Let's give him the belt, or let's do it, vice versa. And even in TNA, I feel like TNA would want to give a title to somebody that they feel comfortable with, that if WWE puts up, that TNA would feel comfortable with to go and tour with them and everything else. Like maybe Cora Jade. Because I know Cora Jade's got her eye on the TNA Knockouts women's title. Maybe she might be the one to do it. So would that be a perfect thing for TNA to do? To give, one of those where on the men's side with TNA, maybe a Moose, maybe Richards, maybe one of these guys, Frankie Kazarian, maybe they could grab one of the NXT titles and bring it over to TNA. So I could see something like that happen. I think right now it's just who would be the right ones that they can agree, that both TNA and WWE can agree upon to say, hey, this person could be the one to take the belt. We could, and they can hold it, and then vice versa, and work that angle around. I think that's why we're seeing, plot points and everything else. But that would be my personal opinion more than anything else. So 3 stars, definitely. Do I see maybe titles changing hands like you alluded to, Anthony? Very possible. But again, TNA and WWE would have to agree on who would be the right person for those moments, because it would have to be a mutual agreement on that. So it's yours.
Fair enough. All right. For the only time this evening, we're gonna have we only have one cutout here tonight, which is, of course, we all remember back in when this whole 2.0 era started. We used to have like several of these a show, but we only had one here tonight. It was Nikita Lyons squaring off against Zarya. Zarya had Sol Ruca in her corner, and Zarya won the match in 2 minutes and 48 seconds. Two of NXT's most powerful women did battle tonight when Nikita Lyons took on Zarya. While they use very different styles of offense, they are relatively evenly matched. Lyons seemed to have the upper hand until Zarya uncorked a German suplex to throw her across the ring. Zarya battled through Nikita's best before hitting her version of an F5 for the pin and the win. While the energy in this bout was high, it didn't last long enough to be much more than a quick exhibition. It was like a 1-star or so match. Nikita Lyons hit the mat very hard when she missed the Vader bomb. And Booker T was very adamant that Zarya ditch Sol Ruca and focus on her own career. They are an odd couple tag team, so a breakup seems inevitable. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, 1 star or so. That's pretty much all I can. It was obviously the worst fight of the night. So okay, we got some things to get into here. We got some house cleaning to do here. After it was over, the show cut to an Ethan Page promo where he spoke in a serious and methodical voice. And Ethan, cut a promo. And earlier in the show, Javon Evans begged, and well, he didn't beg Ava. He told Ava, "Hey, I got the clearance. Medical gave me the clearance. They said, okay, you can have the match." Ava said, okay, but I still don't feel I still don't feel comfortable about this. So just to be safe, I am going to have you sign the infamous letter of indemnification, as Paul Heyman once called it, which basically, WWE will not be held responsible if Javon Evans, gets hurt during this match. So it's now official for Vengeance Day. It will be Ethan Page versus Javon Evans. So we'll see how that goes. And then Sarah Schreiber interviewing Trick Williams in the little perch, that crow's nest, as they call it, while they were setting up the ring for the steel cage main event. And Sarah asked Trick for his answer to Eddie Thorpe's challenge. Earlier in the show, Eddie Thorpe, in a vignette, he challenged Trick Williams to a strap match at Vengeance Day. Trick Williams, of course, accepts. So we now have Trick Williams squaring off against Eddie Thorpe in a strap match at Vengeance Day. They were the commentary team was getting ready to run through the Vengeance Day card. But then an unexpected individual showed up. Let's just say the Revolution is now televised. He showed up. I think he's in NXT now. Absolute Ricky Starks, MF. Whoa.
Literally 24 hours after his contract expires from that company in Florida, he went from Jacksonville to Orlando and now has signed on the dotted line. Oh my word. Was that a game changer? The internet blew up. Fans are losing their minds, and they're thinking, how crazy is this for this to happen as fast as it did? But here's that thing: because the contract must have expired, there is the so-called 90-day no compete clause does not come into effect here. This is one of those legal technicalities that WWE just benefited. You ready? Go out there. And we heard it all. Now the question is, what's his purpose? Why is he here? And what are we going to get from Absolute Ricky Starks? Well, I guess we'll find out in the coming weeks, because he's now here. And oh my goodness, what a reaction is all I can say. Anthony, highlight of the night for me, because we knew eventually he was going to be there. I don't think we thought one day like this. It's yours.
Ricky Starks never actually said his name, so it's still possible WWE has him use something different, but it's unlikely. Wow, what a moment. A holy crap, holy hell moment. The Absolute Ricky Starks had a mic and was walking through the stands. He talked about NXT being one of the hottest brands in wrestling, and they need the hottest free agent right now. Ricky chants, he was soaking them in. He said to not let the He said not to let the handsome face and expensive fragrance fool you, because he is here to turn this place upside down. Ricky said people have been asking when the Revolution will be televised again. And he said, I'm here, am I? Ricky did his Ricky Starks pose as Vic Joseph said that the future looked bright for NXT. Free at last. Yes, Ricky Starks is free at last. He is free from the chains of AEW Purgatory and is back on TV. WWE was quick in bringing him over. NXT is a good place to start. It's on network television, and there might be some sweet solace for Ricky going head-to-head, sort of, against AEW Dynamite, as people still compare Dynamite and NXT's ratings week to week, with NXT taking the lead in recent months. Wow, what a surprise to hear that. Andre Chase was walking around backstage looking depressed, and overly happy Kale Dixon met up with Chase and introduced him to Uriah Connors, who is actually Brogan Finley, the son of Fit Finley. And Andre said he's busy because class is in session. And Uriah, and he asked, what class? Because I thought Chase U was dead. And Chase said, yeah, Chase U is dead. And then I just said that out of habit. Man, well, he is a mess. So, and then of course we ran down the Vengeance Day card, and it's set up for the main event. For only the second time in the history of the North American Championship, it was originally Big Bronson Reed versus Johnny Gargano. The first time this happened, but here we are here tonight. A steel cage match for the North American Championship. The champion, Tony D'Angelo, with the D'Angelo family in his corner, defending against Ridge Holland. Winner of the match, 10 minutes and 58 seconds, and still the NXT North American champion. It is Tony D'Angelo. But then after the match was over, all hell breaks loose. Ridge Holland attacks. Well, as the family was getting ready to celebrate Tony D's victory, Ridge Holland cut him off, and he attacked Luca Crucifino and Channing Stacks Lorenzo. All three of them brawl into the back. And inside the ring, you had Adriana Rizzo and Izzy Dame. Izzy Dame were tending to Tony D'Angelo. But then enter Sean Spears, Brooks Jensen, and Preston Vance, or JD, or Jensen Vance and Spears show up. But then, in what I'm going to call the most obvious heel turn that I've seen in a long time, Izzy Dame took the crowbar and attacked Tony D'Angelo with it. And she laid out, and then she would go on to lay out Rizzo. And then Sean Spears, Brooks Jensen, and Vance they beat the hell out of Tony D. And it looks like Izzy Dame has now joined Sean Spears' group. So, okay. Another 3.25, 3.5 star match. Yeah. Challenger came close to winning several times before Tony D made the comeback. And Holland ended up taking a crowbar from Izzy Dame and used it to attack the Dom, but he only got a 2. Tony D used the crowbar against Holland before hitting the spine buster for the win. Hard hitting match, but it was not without its flaws. Izzy Dame ended up turning on the family when Sean Spears and his cronies showed up. So it looks like we now have 2 feuding factions with early numbers moving forward. Very awkward clothesline in the second half of the match. But other than that, Tony D successfully defends in 10:58. Izzy Dame, now a member of Sean Spears' crew. So we're definitely looking at an 8-person mixed tag down the line, as I believe we will see Sean Spears, Brooks Jensen, Vance, and Izzy Dame against the family, Tony D, Stax Lorenzo, Luca Crusifino, and Adriana Rizzo. I don't know if it's going to be on Vengeance Day. I think that card is too stacked. I could possibly see it. I could possibly see it maybe on a future NXT show. Of course, the big news today, NXT on Tuesday night, March 11th, NXT will emanate from the theater in Madison Square Garden. Wow, that's going to be something else. Maybe they do it there, or maybe they do it sooner. Who knows? But that's coming down the road. 3.25, 3.5 for me on this one. So MF, Tony D'Angelo successfully defends the North American Championship inside the steel temper cage. But then Izzy Dame turns on the family. As it looked like she was possibly going to join the family, but now she turns on them, and she is now with Shawn Spears and his crew. Oh, the possibilities.
Yeah, no, we got a turf war. We definitely got a turf war now, and it's going to get very interesting. And perfect time for a turf war to happen, as we're literally on the road to Stand and Deliver on WrestleMania weekend. So, yeah, I thought they did a fine job with it. This was about a 3.5-star bout. Anthony, you kind of touched on everything else, so there's really nothing more to add. So let's just go right into overall review, possibly. Tony, are you there? Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll jump in and I'll just give my overall review, and then I'll just try to react. Overall review for NXT, I thought it was a fine show. Once again, like we said, very good storylines that were created, very good stuff that was laid out on the table. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'll give it like a 7.5 out of 10. I think the main event were really good. I thought everything that was laid out was fine. So, Anthony, now that you're back in, I gave the overall review a 7.5 out of 10. So, what says you?
Agreed. Tonight's NXT was the go-home show leading into Saturday's Vengeance Day event. So a few different things were set in motion. The three-way tag match was entertaining and led to the booking of a tag title match with Fraxium defending against Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. The main event cage match was solid, and the heel turn by Izzy Dame worked well. But the match that takes the cake this week was Cora Jade versus Bayley. This was another case of a young star getting to work with someone they grew up watching. So seeing Cora Jade get the win was a great moment for her fans. Vengeance Day should be a lot of fun with what WWE has set up for the card, but very few titles feel like they will change hands on Saturday night. So I agree for the most part. 7 to 7.5 out of 10 for me as well. So with that will put the bow on this latest edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We'll be back with you again on Thursday night, our usual 10:30 time slot, I'm sure, for the return, at least for this week, the return of our regulation TXN Sports World shows now that football is done. But we will have a recap. We will recap Super Bowl 59. The Philadelphia Eagles smashing the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22 to win Super Bowl 59. We'll break it all down. And then we'll also have a recap of the NFL Honors Awards show with one award that yours truly is beyond thrilled about how that went down. And then from there, we will have a preview of the Four Nations face-off in the NHL. That is going to be hella fun. I cannot wait to get into that. And then we'll wrap it all up with our preview of the NBA All-Star festivities, All-Star Saturday night, and of course, a new format for the NBA All-Star game. And we'll get into all of that on Thursday night. Friday night, 11 p.m., immediately following SmackDown, head on over to MF's channel, BraceFan95, for the Cerebral Smack Talk, as we will review, MF and I will review TNA Impact, and then we'll also get into Friday Night SmackDown as well, and we will preview the Vengeance Day event, and then sometime Saturday night, probably the 10:30 threshold, we'll have our recap of Vengeance Day, and then 1 week from tonight, we do it all again, Ridiculously Raw, as we review Raw and NXT. So that's it. So until Thursday night, for TXN Sports World, this is Anthony Florio here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, the Phenom Michael Bullock, and always and forever, of course, the one and only Twisted Angel Didi Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Throw it up, Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days, and until Thursday night for the regulation premiere of TXN Sports World, you have been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and Streamy.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.